Hey YouTube, this is a video about this new strange phenomenon happening after Modern Warfare 2 came out. Apparently, people think that their PlayStation 3 Yellow Live death is related to the fact that they're playing Modern Warfare 2. This isn't the case. Those people are stupid. Because I've watched countless videos of people claiming that the Yellow Live death was caused by this particular game. I have to say yes and no. Yes, because you've been playing it too long. No, because if you were playing any other game, it would have happened anyway. This is the same case when it came to Halo 3 when it was originally released on the Xbox 360. A lot of gamers started saying, oh shoot, the game is creating the Red Ring of Death. It's not the case. The game doesn't cause the problem. It's the fact that your PlayStation 3 was already faulty, and it was just going to happen anyway. Um, it's just, yeah. Most of these videos are all about the earlier models of the PlayStation 3, which are known to have the problem. I've seen people who had launch PlayStation 3s that got it, and sure enough, they were playing Modern Warfare 2 when it happened. So this video is out to all the people who claim that this is caused by the game. It's not. You're not going to get anywhere with complaining about it because Sony knows that the game didn't cause the problem. It's just your machine was faulty. And I do have the original 60 gig model, and it hasn't gotten the yellow light of death yet. Um, and it's also the case that the thermal paste they use on the earlier models, as well as the later models, because they never learned from their mistakes. It's the same thing with the Xbox 360. They use the same shit thermal paste. They use ceramic paste, which isn't high grade, so it's not as how can you say? It doesn't have a very good heat transfer as well as the Arctic Silver stuff. The Arctic Silver is the only thing I use on any repairs. When my machines are overheating, same thing, like my laptop. Used to have the problem where whenever I would run this one game, the Burnout Paradise, I would run it max settings on my machine. And the randomly throughout the game, the frame rates would drop. And I couldn't understand why. So I did a little test where I ran what do you call it? A thermal test, like it'll actually use the thermal sensors to tell what temperature they're hitting. So what I did is I ran the test, started the game, played it through to the point where it would start dropping frame rates, and to the point where it'll actually resume full speed, and then when it goes to drop the frame rates again. Then I would quit the game, check out the results, and sure enough, the laptop was actually downclocking the processors to try to cool them down because the heatsink and everything wasn't cooling it down fast enough. So you would see that the point wherever it would drop the frame rates, you would see the temperature start going down on the chart, and when the frame rates would resume full speed, the temperature would start going up again, where it hit, I think, 85 degrees Celsius. That's the point where it kept hitting to the point where it would actually slow down frame rates. Now it's the same case with the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, is that the thermal paste they use is crap. The stuff tends to last a year before turning rock solid, and the PlayStation 3 I had, when I noticed that the fan would kick in after a few minutes of just listening to music, I knew there was something up. I took it apart, and sure enough, the thermal paste wasn't applied properly. It was, I have to say, half the chip was actually covered with the proper amount, and there was a lot of, like, it oozed all over the place when they put it on. So obviously these people don't know how to apply proper thermal paste, because they believe that too much is good. No, you want as little as possible to create a very even seal. It has to be flat and thin as possible. Because the thermal paste doesn't just absorb the heat and that's it. It has to actually create a seal. It's like dentures. You need a seal for your dentures or whatever. If you have false teeth, you need to create as small of a seal as possible, or else you get gooey all over. And I don't have dentures, so I'm just saying from someone I know. So for those who have problems with the PlayStation 3s, you just contact Sony. Of course, if you don't have your receipt and stuff, they're going to say, well, look, you need $150, which I think is bull. because by this time it should be declared a faulty product. I know the later models don't have the issue, except for one exception. When I was working for that video game store, had a PlayStation 3 that was sold, was returned the next day, and when I tested out, it showed that the date of manufacture was March 2009. It was an 80 gig model, and out of the box it was faulty. That when you power it on, it would run about 5 minutes, then it would give you the yellow light, and then shut off. But you could turn it back on. Those particular problems, where it actually does power on for a little while, is caused by thermal paste. The thermal paste isn't applied correctly. Because I've seen this countless times, which Sony needs to really address this, because if they're manufacturing these suckers, they need to know the number one rule of applying thermal paste is don't put too much and create an even seal. I've seen very poor manufacturing on these, and Sony really needs to address this. So what we ended up doing was sending it back to Sony, and they fixed it. Well, not really. They just gave us a different machine. That one tends to run better. So I don't understand how they let this stuff slip. So if you let's say your warranty is up, and you notice that your original PlayStation 3 is, getting the fans kicking in too often, let's say you just turn on the machine and immediately it's getting faster and faster, the fan, and it's not really blowing out hot air. Because if you ever feel in the back, you want it to be blowing out as hot air as possible. That would indicate that the heat transfer is working correctly. If it's blowing out cool air out of the back and the fan's going crazy, you know you have a problem, and you're going to get the yellow light of death soon. So what you do is you take apart the whole machine. There's instructions on how to do that on YouTube. There's probably 50,000 videos on this. You want to take off the bottom part where the heatsink is in the fan. Take that off. Keep the shielding around the motherboard, and just take acetone, like a nail polish remover. Put it on a cotton swab. Wipe off both chips, the CPU and GPU, and then clean off the heatsink part. Apply a very, very thin layer of Arctic Silver. I think I have one up here. Do I? Nope. I wish I did. I would have showed you what it looks like. You just put very little. I mean, it has to be as thin as possible. You take like a business card of some sort, and you let's say this is what I use. You have to thinly apply it. Let's say this is the thing. I know this is stupid, but say the motherboard. Let's say this is the heatsink. You want to put a little dab across, and you just want to smear it and make sure that it's perfectly flat and as thin as possible and covering the entire chip. You put that on, put the heatsink on, reassemble the whole machine, run it for a few hours, and that will actually let the thermal paste settle, and then you're all set. My machine now, I could play a few games, PlayStation 3 games, for about an hour before the fans really kick in. And they never kick into stage 3, which the machine would kick into stage 3 from listening to music CDs. So obviously, the fix is thermal paste, and I have to say, some people say thermal paste isn't the deal. I've seen this countless times where the thermal paste was the culprit. I had my girlfriend. She has a Dell desktop. The machine would shut off about 7 minutes after running. It would just reboot. So it wasn't a blue screen. It wasn't an operating system issue. It would just go off, show Dell, and then it would restart. And then the next time will last 3 minutes and do it again. And I knew something was up. I took apart her machine. The heatsink wasn't dusty at all. So I'm like, what the hell? Pop it off. Sure enough, the entire thermal paste was completely dried up and cracked up to the point where it wasn't even doing its job. So, of course, wiped it off, put a very thin layer of thermal paste on it. Bam, the machine's fixed. Never has that problem anymore. So this is the thing. If any of you companies are watching this video, please do yourself a favor and stop using that shit ceramic-based paste, because that stuff isn't good, it doesn't last long, and it really makes your products look like shit. So please do yourself a favor, do your customers a favor, and use a little higher grade stuff. It doesn't cost that much. It's probably $1. I think most people would be willing to spend $1 extra ensuring that their device wouldn't break. So thank you for watching this video, and if you have any questions about this, I can make further videos into it. I can even show a demonstration of how to apply the proper thermal paste on a real life job. And thank you.